Hello, I'm going to show you guys how to do the oozing pumpkin experiment. And when you do it right, it looks like this. And how do I know? Because I have done it a few times not correctly. So here we go. What do you need? You need a carved pumpkin. You need um, a half a cup of hydrogen peroxide, 20 volume. I'm going to show you a picture of that in just a second. A package of dry yeast or a tablespoon if you have one of those jars of yeast. 3 tablespoons of warm water, liquid dish soap, food coloring, and small cups. All right, this experiment is going to cause the foam to overflow. It also is an exothermic reaction, which we will talk about in the end, so there will be some heat involved as well. So you want to make sure that you do this on a washable surface or in a tray. Please, in my video and stuff, you'll see that I did it outside. Please make sure that you're careful about where you do it. All right, so here's a picture. Now, the carved pumpkin. Um, I don't like carving pumpkins a whole lot. It's kind of messy and it takes a really long time. Also, as I mentioned earlier, this is an exothermic reaction, so it can help decompose the pumpkin faster. And so I actually purchased a plastic pumpkin. These are on sale at the store. They have a little hole in the back. I taped it in the back in this picture where you put the light in and you can then, plug it up and make it glow whenever you want it to. Okay, the negatives of using the plastic pumpkin are the hole to pour everything in is that hole in the back where the light is. You have to pull the light out and then do that. Whereas the directions say to stick a cup in, and I'll explain the differences when I get to that. But the plastic pumpkin is reusable. You can do it multiple times, and you can still use it as a Halloween decoration. Oh, okay, so just so you know, but you can choose to carve your own pumpkin, and that's just as much fun or even more fun if you really like carving pumpkins. All right, so here I have some dish liquid, the plastic cups, a funnel to help pour stuff in that hole in the back of my pumpkin. The fork that I have here is basically just to help stir the yeast. This is a little package of yeast. This is the 20 volume peroxide. You can use the brown bottle of peroxide that you have at home to clean your boo-boos with, and that's perfectly fine. This is actually just a stronger, higher concentration of peroxide. So if you choose to purchase the 20 volume or any of this stuff, and I get this from Sally Beauty Supply or some other beauty supply store, it is higher concentration hydrogen peroxide, and your parents should help you pour that. Please be careful with this because it can bleach your clothes and stuff, and it's a little bit stronger, so be careful. And then this right here is my little container of food colorings. You can use any color you want. I know several of my students said that they wanted to use, they thought it's Halloween, let's use black. The only black I could find was the gel food colorings. I did purchase some and I tried it, and the gel does not work as well. So you definitely want to use these little droplet kind of food coloring. And so I will talk about that when we get to that. All right, so first thing you want to do is get some really warm water. Okay, so what I do, I just turn on the water in my sink and get it really, really hot and then pour it in the cup. It says 3 tablespoons. The measurements don't have to be exact, but you want really hot water, and then you want to cut open your package of yeast or use your little cup of yeast, your tablespoon of yeast, pour it in there and stir it up. At first it looks granulated like this here, but as it starts to be activated, because that's what we're trying to do is activate the yeast, you will see the bubbles and stuff. So you want to be able to see bubbles when you get ready to do the reaction. So this is why when you look at other directions, it has it maybe further down on the directions, but I like to put it first. So this is sitting while we're doing the rest of it. Okay. Then you want to take another small cup. I use this little blue cup here and put some peroxide in it. Okay. Because I use, so here's a little hint too, because I use the plastic carved pumpkin, I had to pour it in the back, and I actually needed more peroxide than it called for in order to make it ooze out the front. Okay, so I did it multiple times. When you watch the recording, you'll hear my kids go, "Mom, it finally worked." Okay, in order to make it work, I had to put more in it because I had to pour it. If you are going to put it inside your pumpkin, then you don't want as much. You want to be maybe about halfway because you want to have room for your yeast stuff to go in and then for it to bubble out. Okay, and come and ooze out the front of your thing. So you actually don't want to fill the cup as much, but you want to fill it more if you're going to do like I did and pour it in the little hole in the back. Okay, so you want to put this 20 volume peroxide in your cup, about half a cup, something like that, pour it in. Um, and again, be careful with this. Get your parent to help you if you need to. Then you want to add a squirt of dish soap. Okay, just add it, and then mix in some food coloring. Put a couple drops of food coloring, and all I did was pick the cup up and swirl it around. Okay, so you can see the food coloring go all the way through it. That's it. No big deal. You don't need to stir it or anything like that. Just a little swirling, and that's good. My kids decided, okay, let's use red. Okay, now this reaction, when it does it, you end up with a lot of foamy bubbles, which are white, so it actually looked pink when it came out. The black would have been cool. It probably would have looked gray, but it would have been cool to see the gray oozing out, but the gel just, it didn't mix right. Okay, so the food color and the liquid stuff mixes through the peroxide better. Okay, but you can choose any color. My food colorings that I have here are neon, whatever. There's all kind of cool stuff. So you can choose whatever works for you. Um, then you If you were using your own carved pumpkin, you would pick up the top here, lift it up, put your cup down inside your pumpkin. Okay? Try not to spill it, put it down, sit the cup inside the pumpkin. That's all you do. Since I had my plastic one, I actually used a funnel and I poured my mixture into the bottom of my pumpkin. Okay, now another thing about my plastic pumpkin that I didn't mention earlier, it actually had a hole in the bottom. So I did take duct tape and cover the hole up in order to make sure that it didn't ooze out the bottom. The first few times I did it, it oozed out the bottom first, which is why my kids were like, Mom, it worked this time. Okay, so tape it up first while your pumpkin is still dry. Make sure that that hole, and it's actually all plastic, all the, whatever. I put extra just to make sure it all held together. Okay, then you want to pour your yeast solution. See here, you can see all the bubbles. Pour your yeast solution into the cup. So if you have your lid off still, okay, you would just pour it directly into your cup. I used a funnel and poured it into the hole in the back of my pumpkin instead. Okay, but you can do whatever works for you. Again, if you are using it, put the lid on the top because you want it to ooze out the face and not out the top. So put the lid on it and then move out of the way. And then here's what it looks like.
It's working! It's finally working, Mom. It looks funny.
Right, let's get this stuff out of the way. And we're going to take like...
Okay, and so how does this work? What happens is the yeast is a catalyst. A catalyst is something that helps a reaction go faster, okay, but doesn't get used up as in the reaction. And so what it does is it causes that hydrogen peroxide, that's the H2O2, to release the oxygen molecules. Okay, so you end up with a whole bunch of oxygen. Okay, now that soap that you put in there helps to kind of hold it all together. So when the oxygen gets released, it makes bubbles. Okay, so that's where the tiny bubbles come. And the oxygen goes through the soap and makes the little bubbles. It also releases heat, which is exothermic. So again, if you are using a carved pumpkin that you're planning to use for Halloween, it could cause the decomposition process of your pumpkin to occur faster. So you want to do this either really close to Halloween or use the plastic pumpkin or, carve more than one pumpkin for Halloween. Anyway, it's kind of fun. And if you have any questions, please let me know.